This is Pokalai Nui, and you are listening to Hawaiian Potpourri. I want to thank Brother Robert Casimiro for this beautiful song, I Aloha I No o Kanaio. This program is produced by the Hawaiian National Broadcast Corporation, and the opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of this radio station or of the Hawaiian National Broadcast Corporation. Okay, with that said, let's go to this letter that I received. It's dated March 11th, so it was last week Sunday, and I assume as a result of our Sunday morning program, which we play from 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning, my listening friend had written this. He says, "Hi, Poka, your caller who asked about the history of the railroad on Oahu prompts me to write this comment. The railroad station building across from A'ala Park belonged to the Dillingham family, and the railroad monopoly was known as the Oahu Railway and Land Company, OR&L Company. As an employee, I received a military draft deferment until August 1945. Because the railroad was considered essential to the war effort by hauling sugar, pineapples, military munitions, as well as carrying passengers to the A'ala Park station. With the end of my draft deferment, I had to serve in the U.S. Army, and when I returned after my discharge, thinking I had a job at OR&L, and to my surprise, there were no steam locomotives to be seen. I was told the company was in favor of mobility, so they disposed all the steam locomotives for the more mobile trucks. Then Frank Fossey wanted to do the rail project, and Reen Mancho cast the swing vote against the project. Thanks to her, today Oahu has the best bus transportation system in America. The bus may not be the fastest mode of traveling, but it certainly has the mobility to cover many areas where no street cars or bus trolley could cover previously. Today's traffic problem is due to our addiction to driving one's car and the convenience of its mobility. When government workers and school students don't go to their destination with their cars or buses, the traffic is much easier to travel, as one can see during a holiday. Like you said, we can't defend or depend on history to be our planning, as common sense takes a back seat to today's politics. I wish you luck in presenting your view in the future planning process. Historically, rail victim." Mahalo, brother, for your letter. P.S. He says, "The bear did the right thing in thanking God's blessings." President Obama missed the boat when he failed to replace the burned copies of the Quran with his official apology. Did you see Ron Paul's political campaign ad on one of our local TV stations? The 3/8 or 3/9/2012. Apparently, he likes Hawaii. So that's dated Sunday, March 12, 2012, and that's his discussion on rail. Now, on the back of his letter, and I'm going to go through it since he has taken the time and the stamps to send it to me. What he did was he wrote Ron Paul's 10 Principles of a Free Society. And let's go through the principles, not because it comes from Ron Paul, but because it's written down, and it's, I think, appropriate for discussions, whether or not you agree or disagree with them. And I have found numerous areas that I would disagree, but it is important that it raises certain issues, and it's good for us to review things and open the discussion. By the way, our telephone number here is 524-1080. Should you wish to call and assert or insert your particular opinions. As I say, everybody's entitled to my opinion. No. You're entitled to your own as well. Well, anyway, Mr. Paul says rights belong to individuals, not groups. They derive from our nature and can neither be granted nor taken away by government. Okay, you got that? Rights belong to individuals, not groups. And on that basis, I would disagree with Ron Paul. And I think it shores up the discussion that we had previously, the right of fair trial. So Mr. Bales is entitled to a trial. But what about the right of the Afghan community? What about the right of the victim? What about the right of the family members? Does that group have certain rights of, yes, revenge, of justice, of equity? And the governmental system that Ron Paul is talking about is indeed based on individual rights. So as you look at the constitutional protection, the 10 various amendments, the right of free speech and individuals' right to speak freely. But even the U.S. Supreme Court now says that, well, a corporation should have the right of free speech because it is in this facade that it is an individual corporate personality. Well, what are they saying? They're simply switching it around and say, you can gather all your monies together as a group and you have the right of free speech. So it's sort of a hypocrisy because it's not really an individual, but they are giving that right to corporate groups. What about indigenous people? Do indigenous people as a people have rights as a group? Do the Native Americans have a right as a group to be considered Native Americans with separate rights because it was their lands that had been taken? What about the Native Hawaiians? What about the Hawaiian Nationals? So on that basis, and I hope I have given you some examples to juxtapose against the idea of individual rights only as opposed to group rights. Next he says, all peaceful, voluntary, economic and social association are permitted. Consent is the basis of the social and economic order. I would say that that is a little bit too limiting. I would suggest that all peaceful associations must be permitted, whether it's social, economic, or even political, or even religious. All peaceful associations should be permitted. And I agree that consent is the basis of social and economic order, but it should also be the basis of political order, because if you leave the politics aside, then whenever one wants to invade into the political rights of individuals, then you can argue, well, we don't need consent in that case. And I think Ron Paul needs to consider it from that point of view. And I'll just go to one more and then leave the topic at that point. Government may not claim the monopoly over a people's money, and government must never engage in official counterfeiting, even in the name of macroeconomic stability. Okay, I'm in complete agreement with that. The government needs to manage its finances just as your household needs to manage the finances. Of course, with the new invention of new money that they call credit through the credit card, it seems to me somewhat violative of the American principle that individuals and others cannot print money. It's supposed to be limited to the government. But when the feds step in, or when others step in and they create this, Regulation Z, with regards to what the interest rate should be charged to the banks and all that stuff, they have sort of ruined the simple system of accounting. You got $1 here, then you can log it in as $1 received. But now they are talking about the multiplication factor, so that $1 into a bank, you can multiply it by 8 or 10 times, because you can lend the money out 8 or 10 times more, collect the interest, and you have now created a huge source of money. What they don't like to take a look at is that when you take your money out of the bank, when you take that $1 out, then economy drops by 8 to 10 times because you have just robbed the banks of the ability to take out your money. Some people are saying, at the time of your retirement, or even before that, take all your money out of the investments that you have and don't give them the opportunity to continue to manipulate your money. Take that money out and let that multiplication factor work in reverse so that the one percenters are not able to continue to run wild with your values. The thing I'm looking for is, okay, after I take it out, where do I put that money? And that I haven't received an answer for. And I'm thinking, well, you better buy machinery now, or buy PVC pipes, or buy things that you will need when the crash comes. Or invest it in your community, invest it in your children and the rest. But don't leave it in an economic system by people who you don't know, and all they're looking for is their interest in how they're going to maximize that money so that they can collect more. And they could care less about you as an investor, other than the fact that if you're happy, they can continue to use your money. So don't wait until that happens. Express yourself, saying, I'm angry about the system and I'm taking my money out. I would do the same if I had money in the system. Okay, our telephone number here is 524-1080. Give me a call. We'll put you on the radio and see what you have to say about these matters. There's one issue that will be coming across our legislature very soon. And so this article I received is from Leon Seal. And it's about the recognition of Hawaiian Nationals. Rather than explaining it for you, let me have the writings of Leon, who I suspect has just recently returned from Switzerland. And he writes, recognizing Hawaiian Nationals. Here is something we can support to advance the cause. 1, recognizing Hawaiian Nationals. There is about to be introduced in the Hawaii State Legislature a resolution to recognize Hawaiian Nationals as a population residing lawfully in the Hawaiian Islands. What is a Hawaiian National? He goes on and says, a Hawaiian National, also known as a subject or a citizen, is a person who has sworn political allegiance to the Hawaiian Kingdom, reserving and asserting all his or her legal rights under Hawaiian Kingdom laws and applicable international laws. A Hawaiian national is not a U.S. citizen. A Hawaiian national does not have to be a native Hawaiian or of Aboriginal descent. Why recognition for Hawaiian nationals? Last year, the state legislature passed and the governor signed Act 195, Native Hawaiian Recognition, formally recognizing, quote, the Native Hawaiian people as the only indigenous Aboriginal Maoli people of Hawaii. Of course, this was done to set the stage for an Akaka bill knockoff Native Hawaiian governing entity, which is not what we want. But it occurred to us that if the legislature can recognize Native Hawaiians in order to fabricate some bogus political entity, then why not also recognize something else equally as obvious and much more legitimate, the existence of Hawaiian nationals? In fact, the same historical facts and legal situations cited to support recognizing Native Hawaiians, those who retain the blood of our kupuna, work even better to support recognition of Hawaiian nationals, those who retain the nationality of our kupuna. What good is this resolution? As we know, a resolution is not binding like a law, but a resolution does indicate, the basic principle, intent, and position of the body that adopts the resolution. For the legislature to acknowledge that Hawaiian nationals even exist would give us the ability to defend ourselves against abuses from the U.S. and the fake state. This will be a significant turnaround for those who identify as Hawaiian nationals rather than U.S. nationals. Recognition by the fake state doesn't mean that we are relying on the state for our identity. No, we are Hawaiian nationals, whether the state wants to admit it or not. What the adoption of the resolution will do is cause the fake state to say they, quote, see us, instead of continuing to deny that we exist. This will have a profound implication. How will this benefit independence? If the legislature passes this resolution, it will mean that we Hawaiian nationals can no longer be regarded as non-existent or some kind of aliens in Hawaii. Recognition will provide the trigger to end state-driven discriminatory policies and practices against Hawaiian nationals, like preventing us from opening bank accounts, renting cars, operating vehicles, purchasing insurance, boarding airlines, etc. Under that, etc., I could add a few more items, such as registering my kids for school when the Department of Education insists on a birth certificate and a Social Security number. Okay, getting back to Leon's writing. Most significant will be the impact this will have on the state courts. This resolution will virtually nullify the Lorenzo decision that the state relies heavily upon as an excuse to deny justice to Hawaiian nationals. So, get ready. The resolution will be introduced in the next few days. We'll let you know as soon as that happens and send out the text of the resolution so you can kokua in testifying to support it when hearings are announced. Malamapono, Leon. So when the resolution comes out, I hope to get a copy of it, and I will announce the hearing dates. I've already announced the initial resolution that had been submitted. The office to call would be Representative Hano at the state legislature. She hails from the Puna district, and she chairs the committee, and in my short discussions with her, she's excited about introducing this resolution. Okay, you have been listening to Poka Lainui. Our program is known as Hawaiian Potpourri. We invite you to call on the current issue or some issues about rail or what's going on in America and in other foreign countries, including Afghanistan. Telephone number here is 524-1080, and a warning is that if you don't call, I will continue to speak. And you might consider that a threat. All right. And the subject I wanted to talk about are these potholes that plague the island roads. You know how effective these this information is? It's actually, it will play into, not yet part of, but will play into the political campaign for mayor. And people will say, what the heck, you costing me, what is that, $700 average because I drive in Honolulu, expense because of the ruination of my car, and you want to build a railway and not fix the potholes. And on top of that, was the other problem was the broken water lines and the basic disregard for what's happening with our city facilities. Some people have said that, you know, the reality is that, what's his name? Who's the mayor? Peter Carlisle really doesn't want to be mayor because the problems are so many, but he locked himself in this particular position. And we'll go to our next caller. Aloha caller.
Yes,
welcome.
hello.
Hi, aloha.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you well.
Okay, you were talking about Ron Paul and his, you mentioned...
Yes, the 10 principles.
You only talked about a couple of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, in reference to the money, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the Federal Reserve should not be called the Federal Reserve. It should be called the printing company.
Or the counterfeiters? The printing company.
Not a
okay.
federal entity. It's a private company. And what it does is it prints money, and it lends it to the American government. It lends it to America at interest. Right. Now, why can't the United States government itself print its own money and lend it to itself without interest? Why do we have to pay back these private bankers? You know, this is crazy. It's lunacy. Print your own money because it's not a government entity. It's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve. It's a private printing company.
Is it an entity given standing or in fact created out of legislation, however, taking the hands of the government over control of the Fed?
Well, they got to report it itself in the Congress. But this was created in the middle of the night in December 25th when all the senators were out of town on Christmas.
What year was it?
1919.
1919.
Yeah. Now,
okay.
This is they put it into the hands of these Federal Reserve, and they have the governors. You know, divide up the country into several parts. I don't know, maybe 9 or 12 reserve districts. If you look at your money, you will see the little circle thing with I guess a star, whatever.
Yeah.
It's Atlanta, Georgia, Cincinnati, New York, San Francisco Bank. These are all separate sub-banks of the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
What happens is they print the money whenever they want to. As a matter of fact, they're consistently continuing to print it right now.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And they lend it to America, to the United States government, and they charge them interest. Now, why can't the American government itself own the printing press and lend it to itself without interest?
Okay, we'll get more into that some other time. I want to thank you very much. Okay. Maybe it was 1913 that it started up, but anyway, it's
probably,
long time ago, before I was born at least.
Okay.
Take care, my friend. Thank you for calling. Aloha. All right, this brings us to the close of our program for the evening.
Kaulana na pua o Hawaii Kupa ama hope o ka aina Iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino Pala pala anunu me ka paka Pane mai Hawaii o ke ave Koku ana honoa o Pilani Ka ko o mai kaua I o mano Paapu me ke one o ka kuhi he